Hi everyone, MetaAnime here, hope you are doing well. Today I'm going to tell you about the story of a movie called Penguin Highway. Released in 2018, this film is directed by Hiroyasu Ishida, whose latest work was Netflix Drifting Home. Before we go, this video contains spoilers, so please take this as a warning for those who haven't watched this movie yet. So without further ado, let's dive into the recap of Penguin Highway. In a rural Japanese area, we see a 4th grader boy named Aoyama writing his note. He is an awfully intelligent little boy. His way of thinking is way ahead of his peers and is very confident about his future. Despite his intelligence, he is consistent with his studies as he keeps learning something new every single day. He cannot wait for the day when he becomes an adult. Unlike most of us sad boys, he is already confident that many women will want to marry him in the future. However, he already set his eyes on someone who he would always stare at every chance he got. One day on the way to school, a bunch of kids was looking at a field and saw mysterious animals that they were unsure of. Curious, Aoyama went onto the field alone to observe the animals. He is very surprised to see that it is a group of penguins and went to approach them. Aoyama and his friends went to school as the penguins were being taken to the zoo. At school, one of his friends, Uchida, asks him about his opinion of the penguins' appearance. They were both the two people in the class that are enthusiastic about science. Currently, they are working together on a project named Project Amazon, which aims to search for the source of the river in their town. Curious about the penguins' appearance, they both decided to work together to research the penguins. In their class, the class bully, Suzuki, approached them thinking that the appearance of the penguins is just a silly thing. Suzuki made fun of the two of them and made Uchida so scared of him. They both were saved by a girl who recently transferred to their school with whom Suzuki has a crush named Hanamoto. She is a girl that Aoyama deemed to be possibly smarter than he is and is his rival in chess. Later that day, Aoyama and Suzuki were waiting for a dentist appointment. Aoyama tricked Suzuki into believing that he is having symptoms of a disease that will require him to get all his teeth removed. This made Suzuki really scared when entering the room. Knowing Aoyama did this, the lady nurse came to ask Aoyama why he did that and sat next to him. Aoyama actually has a crush on the lady and has known for her for quite a while now. They talked for a while and she also mentioned to him how she loves penguins after seeing him reading a book about penguins. The next day, Aoyama and Uchida started the project they called the Penguin Highway, named based on routes taken by penguins when they go ashore from the sea. They both started asking around the people about their interaction with the penguins that seemed to be bothering the people. At night, Aoyama would usually play chess together with the lady from the dentist at a nearby cafe. They would discuss various things and Aoyama would stare at her beauty occasionally. The next day, Aoyama and Uchida checked around areas where there seemed to be sightings of penguins to find them. They created a map to mark the sighting areas. As they were sitting by a hill, they suddenly saw a penguin and immediately chased after it. More of the penguins showed up and were all walking through the same route. The penguins led them to an entrance deeper into the forest. However, Uchida was too afraid to enter. It is said that inside the forest there's a silver moon that can make people sick. As they were about to enter, Suzuki showed up to confront Aoyama about the lie at the dentist. Suzuki and his gang then tied Aoyama to a vending machine, ripped his map and pissed on it and then left. The lady then appeared as if she wanted to buy a drink from the vending machine. Aoyama acted as if nothing has happened and then asked the lady to save him. Noticing that Aoyama was having a loose tooth, she tried to pull it out from him by saying that she is trying an experiment to make him agree. She tied a string to his loose tooth and tried to pull it from him. But he couldn't stand still while she tried to pull. To make him stand still, she threw a cola can up into the air to distract him while she pulled his tooth. As he saw the can flying, it transformed into a living penguin which left him stunned for a while. She then challenged him to solve this mystery about her ability. This made Aoyama excited and asked her to repeat the same thing so that he could reveal the mystery of this phenomenon. They tried to recreate the same situation when she first created the penguin. However, no matter how many times he threw objects, nothing happened. Later, Uchida showed Aoyama that he found a penguin and kept it with him. They then decided to bring the penguin to the aquarium to learn more about it. However, on the way, the penguin suddenly got ill and they got off at the nearest station. At the station, they let the penguin out and after struggling for a while, the penguin turned back to a soda can. Aoyama concluded that penguins couldn't leave the town, or else they would return to their original object. Later that night, Aoyama played chess with the lady at the cafe as usual. He explained to her his findings that the penguins Uchida caught did not require food but could not leave the town. Aoyama assumed that the penguins live on strange energy and decided to call it penguin energy. Suddenly, the lights went off and the chess pieces on the board changed into beds and making them all shocked. But due to this, Aoyama realized something he didn't notice before. The next day, he asked the lady to try to create another penguin. But this time, he asked her to do it under sunlight because previously she did it on a cloudy day. She then successfully created another penguin after throwing a can of soda. Based on this experiment, Aoyama concluded that she can create penguins under sunny conditions and bats under dark. She then got excited and created a whole lot of penguins. After that, they went back together to the lady's place and Aoyama spent the night there. During dinner, Aoyama asked her about her hometown, which is a coastal town. As he never saw the ocean, she promised to take him to their hometown after he solved her mystery. At night, the lady fell asleep first and Aoyama covered her with a blanket after staring at her for a while and thinking about his weird feeling when he was with her. The next day at school, after defeating Hamamoto in chess, Aoyama was told by her that she has something she wanted to show him. This made Suzuki look at them with jealousy. She then took Aoyama and Uchida to the entrance to the forest. On the way, she told them that she made the rumor about the silver moon to prevent anyone from entering. They then arrived at a huge open field with a huge floating water sphere in the center of it. She called the sphere the ocean and invited both Uchida and Aoyama to research together to discover the truth about the ocean. They both agreed to join her as they were also curious about it. The next few days, the three of them were together a lot around the sphere to research it. One night, they all went to a festival in their town. There, Hamamoto introduced her father to the two of her friends. Her father is an actual researcher at a university. The lady suddenly showed up and joined their conversation. Seeing how chummy she is with Aoyama, Hamamoto got jealous and pulled Aoyama away from her. The next day, Aoyama finished a tool that he invented to measure the internal temperature inside the ocean he called Penguin. He threw the penguin inside, but it got pulled inside and never came back. They were all shocked that they can't even see the penguin inside the ocean anymore. However, they were suddenly interrupted by Suzuki and his gang who attacked Aoyama. He is upset because Aoyama seemed to have spent lots of time with Hamamoto and he followed them into the forest. Suddenly, the lady also came, bringing a horde of penguins with her. She ordered the penguins to attack the bullies and chase them away to save Aoyama. As the lady was talking with Aoyama in the group, the penguins and Ocean started to act weird. The penguins started attacking Ocean and in return, the Ocean spitted out huge water bubbles all over the place. As one of the bubbles was about to hit Uchida, the lady threw a can that transformed into a penguin to destroy the bubble. The penguins also destroyed the other bubbles around. Seeing that penguins and Ocean are connected, Aoyama asked Hamamoto to let the lady join the research. But she refused as she hated the lady and banned her from coming there again. Realizing that Aoyama already knew about the lady's penguin-making ability, she got upset with Aoyama that he did not tell her and left the place. As they were leaving the forest, they met a group of researchers who asked them if they saw anything suspicious and asked them to leave the forest as it was dangerous. Aoyama got more worried for the lady's safety after seeing all those researchers. At night, the lady was having a nightmare and couldn't sleep. In the morning, weird things happened all around the town and there was a sighting of a strange creature. When they were in the forest, Uchida and Aoyama saw the strange creature chasing and eating the penguins. Inside the forest, they saw that the ocean has gotten way bigger compared to before. The three of them then discussed the future of their research. To protect the lady from the researchers, Aoyama suggested stopping the research. Because the more they do research about the ocean, the higher the risk is going to be for the lady to be taken by the scientists. Hamamoto and Aoyama got into an argument because of this. In the night, Hamamoto's father visited the lady at the dentist. He asked her about the recent events and asked her to join the research as he already knew about the ocean from his daughter's note. The next day, the lady went on a trip together with Aoyama. She was taking him to the coastal town, which is her hometown, to show him the real ocean. As the train took them further away from their town, she started getting sick, similar to the penguin's previous symptoms. They stopped at a nearby station and she collapsed right after they got off. The ground around her started moving and weird creatures started showing up from the ground surrounding them. She managed to calm down and the ground stopped moving. The next day at school, Suzuki brought a little weird creature he caught in the forest and bragged about it. While they were in class, the scientists showed up to talk with Suzuki. They interrogated Suzuki and his gang and took them to the scientist's camp in the forest. There, they told them everything they knew, exposing the ocean research done by Aoyama, Hamamoto, and Uchida. Hamamoto and Aoyama also arrive at the camp. After seeing that Suzuki told them everything to the scientist, she got furious, slapped Suzuki very hard and told him that she will never forgive him. Later at night, when the scientists were exploring the forest, they saw the monsters chasing around the penguins and eating them. They also saw how the ocean got frighteningly bigger and swallowed everything including the scientists. At his home, Aoyama got a nightmare where he saw the lady dissolve into nothingness after being swallowed by the sea. He woke up and saw the lady beside his bed. They had a chat and the lady told him about how she experimented on not eating for a whole week and still feeling fine. The next day at school, they got an announcement about how the ocean got bigger and is becoming dangerous for the people around them. They started evacuating the town and the school became the evacuation center for the people in the town. The students there are under lockdown to ensure their safety. After hearing about the missing scientists, Hamamoto broke down in tears. Aoyama tried to calm her down and convince her that he can get his father back, but he needed help from the lady. Hearing that, Suzuki and his gang offered to help them escape the school to get to the lady. As security tried to grab Aoyama, all of the kids managed to stop them in order to let Aoyama escape. In the end, Aoyama managed to escape alone and finally met up with the lady at their usual cafe. He told the lady that he solved the mystery about the lady. Just as the penguins are not real penguins, the lady also is not a real human. The penguins and the lady depended on the energy emitted by the ocean to live. The ocean displaces space and distorts time. It might be a tour of the world or the end of the world itself. So the penguins and lady are creatures created by the ocean to close that hole. Meanwhile, the monsters that ate the penguins were creatures created by the lady's subconsciousness to give her more time to live in the world as she got attached to it. They then decided to go close to the ocean and rescue the scientists. On their way, the lady turned all the objects around them into penguins. A huge number of penguins were summoned by the lady and formed a penguin highway that went straight to the ocean. The surrounding of the town also seemed distorted due to the weird nature of the sphere that defies physics. Inside the ocean, they were welcomed by a surreal environment where nothing seemed to make any sense. They then arrived at a weird-looking town that seemed to be where the lady's memories of her childhood came from. There, they finally met all the missing scientists. Aoyama asked whether it is possible to leave a little bit of the ocean to let the lady live. However, it seemed to be a bad idea to keep something like that existing. She then started breaking down the ocean and they all got back to their world. The ocean and all the creatures created by it have gone. Aoyama and the lady have their last conversation at their usual cafe and they have their farewell there. Thousands of penguins watching them from outside gradually disappeared. After saying goodbye, she went outside and disappeared as well. The film ended with Aoyama looking forward to the future where he will meet the lady again and tell her how he would have grown and all the adventures he would have experienced in his life. So that concludes the recap of Penguin Highway. What do you guys think? I personally really like its imaginative storytelling and its visual style, which features a mix of fantastical and surreal elements. The movie received positive reviews for its charming and quirky storytelling and its creative use of animation to bring the world of the story to life. Overall, Penguin Highway is a delightful and imaginative story that explores themes of childhood innocence, imagination, and discovery. Please tell us what you think through the comment section. If you like this content, leave us a like and share them with your friends. Thank you for watching until we see you again.